What Trump cannot do definitely does not exist. This is not a clickbait at all. This is serious. I'm going to tell you guys, give you guys a quick story time. I'll try to keep it brief because, well, as you can see from the title, my dreams of attending a wedding came crumbling down. To give you guys some background, okay, I am a British citizen. I've had a British passport for about 12-13 years, or maybe about that. I currently live in the UK. I have lived here for over 20 years and I have never had any issues with immigration, with police, with none of that, okay? As white as whatever. That's just some background because those are the things that people asked me when I initially told them this story. So I just thought, let me put it out there. Now, a couple of months ago, about 2 months ago, I was meant to attend an event, a wedding anniversary of somebody who I consider one of the closest people to me. She's like that big sister that I never had. So she had informed me 2 years ago that she had her big 25th wedding anniversary. In fact, it was a whole new wedding with bridesmaids, with colors, with dress codes, the works. I was meant to go with the whole family, but it turned out that the timing, my big boy was having his GCSEs, the other one was having his SAT, so it was the wrong time. And I couldn't take the girls and leave some, so I decided to go solo. This will be like my, I don't know, sixth time in the US in the space of 10 years. So normally if you've got a British passport, you only need an ESTA clearance, don't you? Yes, like a visa waiver thing that you do online. I regularly have them. When I used to travel more often a lot, especially for football, I'll always have a valid ESTA form because I'll maybe go every year. The last time I went was exactly 2 years ago in March. So the last ESTA form I had expired in March. So it was never an issue. Anyway, I got my ticket really early, but I made the mistake of not applying for an ESTA early. Let me tell you guys why. This is about to get like a movie. Let me try to explain this well. The actual event was in the US side, classed as New York, but within few meters of Niagara Falls. If you've ever been to Niagara Falls has the US and the Canada side. My dear sister loves Niagara Falls. She and her family, in fact, they've always loved going there. They've bought a holiday home in the US side. So the wedding was going to be in the US side because she mostly lives in the US and has a home in Canada, but not near Niagara Falls, in a different place in Calgary. Okay, this is a bit interesting, but just listen, you understand. So when she mentioned that this was around Niagara Falls, I wanted to go to New York, have a look at New York because I love it, do a bit of touristic things, and then cross over and attend the event and go back. I was looking at tickets and they looked ridiculously high. So like double the price just because you're going to the US side or to New York. And it was coming up like $1,700, £2,000 just for my return, minus the movements in the US. But my sister kept saying, you need both visas because we are going to cross to the Canadian side to do like the tourist stuff. So you need the visas for both. Okay, you need the clearance for both. That sounds pretty straightforward, yeah? So when I was struggling with the flight, she's like, why don't you just check through Toronto? So I was like, okay. I checked online and I couldn't believe that I got a ticket for like £550 from almost 2,000 going through New York. And she said, don't worry, get to Toronto. A lot of us are traveling, coming here at that time. Once you arrive Canada, we'll all get a cab, taxi or whatever, or I'll pick you up and we'll cross to Niagara Falls, and then you just cross. It's through a bridge and you're in the US. So you need both. I was like, yes. So in fact, when we're talking and I saw that ticket, I bought it while she was on the phone because I was so happy how cheap it was. She said a taxi would be like $150. I'm like, that's nothing compared to £2,000 through the US. Stick with me. There's a reason why I'm telling you all of this. And then, so very excitedly, I bought my ticket and I just packed it away because a lot was going on with me and I did not remember to get my ESTA. After 2 weeks, I remember that, oh, I'm traveling beginning of April. I think it was like 10th or something like that. So about 3 weeks in advance, I did my ESTA for Canada. It came, before I could send the email, I got an email to say, it's ETA, ETA. I got that for Canada. I did the US on that same day. Normally, I've done this several times and it will just come back. So I did not even pay attention. I did it, closed it, moved on. The next day, I saw the Canadian one. I'm like, yay. I saw the timing. It happened immediately. The US, I looked at it and I tried to go back to my application and it said pending because a decision could not be made immediately. So your status just says pending approval. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Normally it says 48 hours, 72 hours. I moved on, life is busy. 3 days later, I came back. I started getting a bit worried. I'm like, why does this say we could not make a decision in 72 hours? So it's still pending. Again, I knew I had about 2.5 weeks, so I ignored it. Started shopping, buying my stuff. I was excited. A week later, application same. I'm like, no. I've got 2 weeks to go. I spoke to one of my friends who had something similar and she said, oh, call them so that they can escalate it. This is a delay, it's busy time, people are traveling. So I called them. They gave me an like a reference to say that it'd been escalated. I relaxed. Email came, they could not make a decision. I started having flashbacks. I started thinking, this is not funny. So in the meantime, my sister said her parents, who've always been into the US, suddenly went to the embassy and they did not even ask them any questions. They just said, we are not allowing you entry for her wedding. So she was so distraught. She's like, this is when Trump was coming up with all sorts of new rules. All of this was kicking off. She had already come to terms with that. And so she had to, because of all of the logistics issues last minute, she decided to rent an apartment in the Canadian side. So this is the border. These are the falls. The wedding was in the US side, literally across, maybe 5 minutes. And then she rented an apartment 5 minutes this way. Basically, we could wave and see each other across the falls. But that is what divides the two countries. So I was like, oh, bless them. It will be so hard while we're celebrating for them. Let me not jump and tell you guys why this is funny. She's like, it's okay. They've come to terms with it. Older parents don't really put a fuss much. They're like, okay, it's done, it's done. Okay. 1 week, I called again. They said, the more I call, I'm delaying it. It's still pending. Hell! I was like, I'm coming anyway. I bought my ticket and I'm going to come. I'm going to cross. Power. They're like, okay, no problem. Oh, I called my sister. I said, I have some news. She's like, don't worry, you'll cross. Don't worry, you'll be okay. You'll come. You have 1 week now. Don't worry, worst case. I said, there's no worst case. My dress is bought. There's no worst case in this situation. She's like, no, there's no worst case. She just forwarded me the address of where, because she's so organized. She forwarded me that address just so that I know where it is, because I was still meant to cross over after the wedding. We had to spend 2 days with her parents and herself in the Canadian side. So she just thought, let me give you the address in case. This woman knew. Anyway, long story short, 3 days before nothing, 2 days before nothing, the day I was traveling, I just thought to myself, it will come before I land. It's like an 8 hours journey. Took a direct flight from Manchester Airport in the UK. Arrived to Canada. Okay. Arrived to Toronto. I got there. First thing I did, connect to the Wi-Fi. I checked out normally because I had my ETA. Came out the airport, nothing. I called them. In fact, I had put a SIM, an eSIM, just to be calling them. They said, kept me on hold. I said, well, whatever you are doing, me, I'm on my way to America. I'm on my way to the US border. So my auntie, when I called her, she was like, oh God. She said, just get a taxi. Maybe the taxi can cross with you. I said, okay, no problem. She said, taxi, if you just tip them, they'll cross over in the car with you. So, okay, I came out of the airport. Taxi, I got an Uber. It was like $150 or almost $200. No problem. I got the Uber. I told the guy's like, cross over. No, I don't do that. There's a young guy looking at me very suspicious. I've never had this kind of request. I said, well, I am from the UK. This is my UK passport. I'm just going to the US and I decided to come through Canada because it's cheaper. I have a wedding. He's like, oh, okay, but do you have a visa? This is mama. Well, give me internet. I might have it before we get there. He looked at me and I know he called somebody. This guy was a young 21-year-old student. He's, I think, from Pakistan. He too did not even have rights to go to the US. He'd never been to the US before, was doing his degree. And he was looking at me suspicious that I wanted to just go there. And I had to convince him. I think he heard me speaking to my sister across and he believed that, okay, my visa, my ESTA was pending. He said, I can speak to people who can cross with you, but me, I cannot even have my passport on me. I'll take you downtown. I'll take you very close to the borders and you can walk. I said, yes, I'm going to walk. When I get there, they will give me entry. After all, I'll be there. He said, okay, no problem. It was such a long drive. Got there. Got there. I actually saw the falls. It was beautiful. I'll put some videos. And I was feeling like a baby girl. I was still very positive. I crossed. You have to literally walk because a taxi was there. They were going to cross with me. They said, do you have an ESTA? I said, it's not yet come through. Maybe if I get there. They said, but okay. I said, can you take me? It's like, yeah, you're going to pay. And I thought, okay, if I get there. And they said, I said, do they actually check the car? It's like, yeah. I said, can I sit behind? You don't see me. The guy is like, I don't know about that, but they don't usually do. Okay, I knew that but what I investigated, people actually cross without checking. So I just thought, okay, let me walk. I don't want to pay another $20 because it was so close. The address of where everybody, the whole wedding party, there was like a pre-party on the Friday. When I got there about 4 p.m. to the falls, to the borders. The party started at 5 for barbecue. I could call my sister. I had all the fun videos. Hey! When I got to that place and they said, I walked across with my big bag, put my coin in, you go through, you walk. You see kids walking across, people who live there, it's like just going across. You get there, it's like an immigration office, wait out, they call you in. There were 3 guys, it was about 5 o'clock now, so it was quiet. There was immigration officers, former US, and you see everywhere the flag, so you cross, you know they're now in the US side with my feet. You see cars queuing to go through the borders. I don't know if I have some pictures of that. I'll put it just so that you guys can understand. And then I went through, oh ma'am, what's your name? Do you have ESTA? First thing they ask you, what passport do you have? British. Okay. Do you have an ESTA? Can you check? Because when I got to the airport, it did not come through. The man checked, oh, it says pending. We cannot let you in. I said, excuse me? I said, I'm getting married. The man was like, the wedding is not going to hold. I said, okay, I lied. My sister getting married. I started complaining. Tears were just there. It was about to come out, and I knew that these guys were heartless. So from them thought I was just lying, and I started getting angry. I'm like, why do you look at me like that? You think I did not apply for it? This is it. The man said, I can see you did. I said, I cannot cross back. In fact, you guys, I'm not going to go on my feet. I am tired. I was just like, I've been walking. I'm going to pass out. I've been traveling since, and I've been traveling at that point for 24 hours because I left the UK. In the morning, my flight was at 9 a.m. or something like that. I left the house about 7. The UK at that time was like midnight. So I've been traveling for 24 hours. I don't know how many hours. I was tired. I had not slept. I had to walk again across the long border on foot. So I'm like, no, I cannot. The man said, really? I said, can you take me? He said, we can. But if we take you, it means we're going to deny you entry to the US. I said, you people cannot take a joke. You guys, small help. I'm asking. Just to take me across is not that serious. I'll walk. Oh, it's okay. Let me just rest. I said, okay, we'll sit down there. I said, I saw cars passing. They'll look at, there's like a control, look at you, check passport, and you go through. I say, ew! and I could not have internet. I knew that my sister was across waiting for me. There was a big party, everything was happening. The wedding was the next morning at 9 a.m. Church service. I had to do her makeup. I had brought her some stuff for her makeup. I bought my dress. I had hell. I stood there like for 30 minutes, sat down there with my bag, looking at people crossing, envying them. I said, oh, this British passport is so useless. This UK passport is... For the first time, I did not want to have a UK passport. And this is when I realized that, even this passport we're fighting for, it doesn't mean anything because the rules can change. And they say, if you are not naturally white or indigenous or whatever, you don't enter. I sat there until my own time, which I said, okay, I have to call in for that accommodation. You know, she had sent me the address and there was no internet because it would not give me Wi-Fi. This is US border control. They said, ma'am, I'm telling you again that if you want to take you across, we'll have to stamp that you've been refused entry. But for now, nothing has gone on your passport. You can just walk back and they'll let you back in Canada. When your this thing clears, you can call me. I was pulling my bag. I just thought, you know what, I'm here now. I was just pulling my bag and I had tears coming down. I was just walking down the border. I was taking my pictures. I was still posing. Nobody knew my problems at that point. Nobody except myself. And then I crossed over, crossed to the Canadian side. The woman was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You have to go through the same immigration wahala. But I had my ETA, so it was okay. She's like, I'm sorry, this happens often. Crazy, where are you going to stay? I said, okay, there's a Starbucks where you can have internet. I went there, got Wi-Fi, called my husband. I'm like, oh, she's like, don't worry. Mommy and daddy are at home because her parents too had been refused entry, remember, and her niece. So they were in the house that I was feeling sorry for them at the beginning, not knowing that was going to be my home for a few days. My hotel, I had booked my posh, nice Hilton suite. I just saw something, oh, thanks for booking because I have to check in at 3. Thanks for booking with Hilton. I hope you enjoy your stay. I saw the money 2 nights. Ow! I said, it's about to get real. Anyway, long story short, I went, crossed, got a taxi. It was so close. The accommodation was like 5 minutes away, man. She's so organized. So we were door to door, 10 minutes away. So the Airbnb in the Toronto side, the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, and the US side where the home was, where the barbecue was going on and the whole wedding, was 12 minutes. They were across and we could not see. This thing pained me. It pained me. I got back there, my bag, and I could not, no internet, I could not get in the Airbnb. I was just on the road crying. When I was walking back, let me tell you something, through that fall, I looked at the fall. I said, how many people have jumped in here? Because the way I'm feeling, guys, I'm not saying anybody should go and jump for this. No, I'm just saying at the time, yeah, I felt so frustrated. And I'm like, I'm sure people have attempted this job because it's so frustrating. Anyway, I was just about to say, you know, I'll just throw my bag in and I'll swim across and I'll go for that wedding. I thought, which will go first? Me, the bag, the death, the stones, the swimming, the shooting, of saying you're a terrorist. But the thought came because I was so frustrated. My heart was heavy, but something was doing me sweet in my heart. I'd heard some good news that day. Anyway, that's a different video. So I crossed and finally got into the accommodation after staying out for another 45 minutes. My auntie, she was like, where are you, baby? I'm like, I'm outside, I can't even get in. She's like, calm down, baby, calm down. She called somebody and they picked me up from just in front. I actually went to this guy and his son who were fixing a car outside. I'm like, I don't have internet, I've just come from the UK, I can't get into here. So they gave me internet and I called my auntie. Long story short, I went to the house, looked. my auntie, my little friend at home there, Tana, she's like, hugged me. She's like, I'm sorry, auntie, me too, could not go in. She made me warm okra that night. It was a lovely Airbnb. I passed out. I ate that, took a shower, put my phone off, and I slept. Woke up at 7. My sister called, that we were doing her makeup. She's like, baby, I'll see you tomorrow. So, bottom line is, I was denied entry into the US for no reason. The wedding went on. I was tuned on Zoom. Zoom. I used Zoom to watch the event that was 10 minutes away with my British passport. I kept refreshing. Pending. Anyway, so me and my little friend, she cooked for her grandparents and then we hung out. We went to a restaurant. I said, I'm going to just declare access. What's the point? I went there. We had a nice brunch. We were watching the Zoom. We went to the Niagara Falls, took some pictures. I looked like a baby girl. Nobody knew my problems at that point. No. I said, I will not look at my problems. We did that. And then we came back. The next day we had the tour. So they were meant to have the Niagara Falls tour in the US side, so they had it in the UK, in the Canadian side, so that we that could not attend could be part of that. And that's how they labeled me. Oh, this is the girl. So the next morning, they all came about 8 and we went for the tour. These are some quick pictures. It was beautiful. So they kept saying, is she the one who couldn't get in? Oh, your UK passport. I was like laughing. It was fun, but it was not. Anyway. And yes, finally we met, we reunited. And I insisted that my auntie sister brought her dress. She said, I would take a picture of you girls. So me and her niece, we took pictures like with her wedding outfit, makeup, me with my dress, so that it felt like we were there, because they made pictures in the US side. So it felt like we did not miss out too much. Let me end this story by telling you guys the worst bit. So that happened. I chilled the next day. So I was there for 4 days, but you know, I had to go to the US. Nothing. We kept looking at the visa because she's like, wanted to show me the new home. I wanted to go there just to feel like I've got into the US. My visa has cleared. Nothing. My flight to go back was on a Wednesday. I got on a Friday. Wednesday morning, I went. In fact, we all were traveling that day. She was going to Calgary with her parents because they could not go to the US. She had to sort all of that out. This visa thing is crazy. And then I was coming back to the UK, so we all went to a hotel near the airport, and I was the last to leave. Traveled, got to the UK safe, got home. As soon as I landed, I opened my phone. What did I see? Authorization, you are now allowed to go into the US. It's valid for 2 years. I'm like, shaggy. You people are wicked. If I could break my phone, I would have. I said, to where? Valid for 2 years, visa authority. You're allowed to go into the US now. I'm going to end this story time to say, this visa, this passport thing that we're looking for. Woe betide they changed some rules, because I felt it like, I felt what it is when you get refused a visa. But that was my story time. Because if you're traveling now, the rules have changed, and I might do a different video to give you a bit more background context to something that happened, but nothing dramatic. Why I think it delayed. So if you're traveling to the US, do your ESTA quickly. Do it as soon as you buy your ticket, even if it's 3 months, do it, because you can escalate and you can come back. Because it ain't funny to spend that money and waste it. And if I had gone to the US directly to New York, I would not be able to even have traveled. I would have lost everything. But luckily I went through Canada, so I could leave the UK, because at the point of leaving, my end point was Canada, not US, so I was allowed to travel. So please do your visa, your ESTA quick enough. Anyway, I'm your girl, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.